lab at Georgetown. Her name is Leslie. She was, her main research is obviously with butterflies, and she knew about some of these different programs, and she wanted to start looking at butterfly population trends. Are they declining or not? And is it species specific? Is it regional? This kind of stuff. And she realized there's all these different programs, and where's the data? How do you get the data as a scientist? How do you do these analyses? And she found out that, well, this program, all the data is in a folder in someone's basement in a file cabinet. And this program over here, it's all on Excel spreadsheets on a computer in the back room, and so on and so forth. And so she wrote a grant to NSF to say there's all this really valuable information. Some of these programs have been around for 5, 10, 15 years or more. Can we develop an online portal where volunteers can go and run a survey and then log into their computer and enter that survey to have it go to one national database repository behind firewalls and safety protections that scientists can then look at all the data across the continent, what's happening. And NSF's like, you'll never get all these independent programs to cooperate and do that. She said, trust me. And she put this whole thing together, developed the North American Butterfly Monitoring Network, and out of it, hired a programmer to create Pollard Base. That protocol that we use, where you walk the same route every week and tally butterflies within a 5-meter forward radius, it's called a Pollard walk. After a researcher in the UK, named Ernie Pollard, and he developed that simple protocol for citizen scientists to use to survey butterflies. And in fact, the Pollard walks that he set up in the UK led to the first actual publications 25 years ago showing that climate change was affecting animal behavior. So it has become the industry standard worldwide for how to do butterfly surveys. They created Pollard Base, where you can go in, you log in, you enter your data, and then goes into a pending status where it gets reviewed and QA, QC vetted, and if something looks odd, the director of the program then reaches out to the volunteer and said, you reported a sleepy dusky wing, did you mean to report a sleepy orange? That kind of thing. The sleepy dusky wings, maybe they don't fly where you were, just sort of an extra quality check. And then they're like, oh yeah, it's a typo, blah, blah, blah. So it gets vetted, and then it goes into the database. Now, where are these programs across the country? They are scattered from the West Coast with some small programs in like a couple national parks. This is just Orange County, California. There's a private conservation ranch in Montana. And then just some larger statewide things like all of Colorado and Texas. And one of the very first programs was Illinois, started in 1987. And so incredibly long-term valuable data going on there. Then again, we developed, launched the Carolinas program in 2023. Then just last year, one of the science coordinators for the Smoky Mountains and the Blue Ridge Parkway said, hey, can we extend this along the Blue Ridge Parkway into Virginia? And so he and I then launched this Blue Ridge route as a program, as a new program. So it keeps growing, it's fantastic. And my ultimate vision is 1,000 volunteers across the Carolinas from border to, from the mountains to the sea and so forth. And we're well underway. We're in the vicinity of, pushing 100 with more than 100 survey routes right now, which is super exciting. I'm very happy about that. So now what happens? You've done your survey, you want to enter the data, you simply go to Pollard Base, and you can see the different programs. You go to the Carolinas program, and then you go to the Routes tab at the top, and it brings up all of the different survey routes. And when you get a route set up, we come up with a name that makes sense to you, and then you just scroll to the name of your route, and you can click Report Survey or Create Survey, and it pops open this page. And keep an eye on these blue tabs here. You click on the blue tab, People, Date and Time, Conditions, Observation, Notes, Images, and Incidentals. And you just go through those tabs and enter your data from the data sheet. So People, it's got a spot for the observer and then other participants, or if someone separate from the observer is the scribe that tallies the data. Date and time, that's obvious. Conditions is that weather data from the top of your data sheet. And then observations. So you would click Add Observation, and it's gonna pop up a row. And in that row, you start typing the name of the butterfly, and it auto-fills with all the possibilities. So if you type E, it instantly goes to the E, since you got Eastern Comet, Eastern Tail Blue, Eastern Tiger Swallowtail. And then you can just select the one, so it's fast, it's efficient, and you put in the route section and the number that you saw in that section. So in this case, I saw 3 tiger swallowtails in section A of this survey, and I saw 1 in section B. So you click Add Observation, pops up another row, Eastern Tiger, section B, 1, and so forth, and Pearl Crescent, Monarch, and you just do that until you're done. If there's any notes, I generally recommend people put a rough estimate of how much time during your survey the sun was shining. I think that's valuable data. 100% sun during survey. 0% sun, but it's cloudy but 85 degrees. You know, whatever, 50%. And then any other notes, like they just clear cut the woods on section A, or they mowed the edges of the greenway in section B. So those kinds of notes can be valuable when you go back and want to look at the data. And then and folks will often put notes to me like, I'm not sure what the skipper is. And then in the photos or images, they'll upload a picture of the skipper. Then I'll look, and if I can identify it, adjust the data accordingly or reach out to them. People get in touch with me that way. They also, anyone is welcome at any time, whether you're part of the program and have a route or not, to text me or email me photos of butterflies from your yard or from wherever that you want help identifying. I do that. I get those all the time, and I love it. And then the incidentals go under this tab. So 2 cloudless sulfurs across the field, 1 monarch and a tiger swallowtail, whatever, because they're either behind you or outside of that 5-meter window. Then you save the survey. There's a Save Survey button, and it goes to a summary page. You give it a quick proofread, and then this is what comes to me. This is what I go through, and if everything looks good, then I hit approve, and it goes to the national database. If something looks funny, then I'll just reach out and clarify something. So what's this national database? What are people doing with it? How is this actually helping or contributing? Last spring in March, our lab and several other labs took the first 20 years from 2000 to 2020 and took data from NAVA butterfly counts and from those Pollard-based programs across the continent, and did a bunch of analyses and published a paper in Science last spring that showed a 22% decline. It's bad news, right? Not good, but solid data. Now we have data, 22% decline in butterflies during that 20-year period. So this is one of the things that these programs are contributing to from a valuable science standpoint. Is the news totally bad? No, they looked species by species, and here we saw a couple silver-spotted skippers In some areas, they're doing a little bit better or about average over 20 years. In other areas, they were doing a little bit worse. So it depends on the region and it depends on the species. And so land managers or conservation managers can take some of these specific examples and then make management decisions over some of the things that they're working on, or identify areas where we need to focus more research, for example. What about at the state level? Those incidentals, they're not really contributing to pollard base because they're outside of that restricted window. So what's the point of tracking those? All of the incidentals sightings, I work up a couple times a year and send a data file to the North Carolina Biodiversity Project. And this is currently run by some state parks folks, and Harry LeGrand, who arguably is the top naturalist in the state, has been for 40 years, retired now, but amazing. And I compile all of the data from butterfly reports on iNaturalist, on Facebook, and on the Carolina Leps email list. And we kind of go through and we vet it, and then we contribute it to the Biodiversity Project to help develop flight maps to know when our adult butterfly is expected to be flying. So in this case, this is a flight map for the giant swallowtail, and it's broken down from mountains, Piedmont, and coastal plain. And you can see there's a push in the spring, and then a lull, and then a push in the fall. So giant swallowtails got roughly 2 broods, a spring brood that comes out when it warms up, and then they mate, they lay their eggs, the adults die off, you don't see them. And so there's this period where you don't see them. But then those caterpillars have, complete the life cycle, come out through metamorphosis and their chrysalises, and you've got adults on the wing again, so you have a push in late August, September. And so we've developed these flight charts and the county distribution maps for all the species in the Carolinas. And right now, I think when I last checked, we were over 250,000 records to contribute to this database through the project, and every single new record helps contribute more to it. And this enables folks to then look at and take the data from 20 years ago, and then the data for the next 5 years, and with climate change and changes in temperature and weather, are we seeing any shifts in timing of these flight periods? And so this is another thing where these data are going to contribute to that, so that we can identify, it's warming up sooner. Are the butterflies coming out sooner or not? Then are we starting to get what they call a phenological mismatch, which is fancy talk for the flowers are flowering now, but are the butterflies out that use those flowers now, or are they now no longer lined up in timing? So these are all things that can be looked at with all that incidental data and all the reports that go to iNaturalist and other sources. With that, thank you, first of all, for coming. If you are interested in setting up a survey route or more information, or simply see a butterfly in the yard you want help identifying, my contact information is here. And what I'm going to do is a sheet going around. Has everybody signed this sheet that's going around? I will send out, probably this weekend after I get home, or Thursday or Friday, I'll send out a follow-up email to everyone with more information. Here's how you can get involved if you want to. If not, that's fine. If you have a butterfly you took in the backyard and you want help taking identification, shoot me that email back, and we'll go over next steps from there. With that, thank you, and I'll take any questions.